All of this reminiscing about my youth has me thinking. Reminiscing about my youth, reminiscing about like tricking parents into buying you video games.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being 11 years old, and holy shit, that brand new game, brand new, holy crap, it's like $50, that's crazy, is sitting right here in this microplay used for $30. Now, Mom, I know it's really violent, like outrageously but I'm mature. I'm a good kid. I don't get into fights like my brother, right? So can I, I'll buy it. It's cool, right? And that's how I got Resident Evil 2.
You talked her into it.
Yes.
You didn't play 1.
I played 1 later on, Christ, I want to say I actually played 1 later on the Saturn first.
That's why you never talk about it. Because you literally started with 2.
Well, that and Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation 1 is a significantly worse game.
Of course it is, but it's still the beginning of the franchise, so I always would assume that, okay. I always just assumed it was like, this is a Sonic 2, Mega Man 2 situation.
It is.
It
as
is.
well.
Okay. But like, you still started
It is very much a Mega Man situation.
Okay.
Where Mega Man is the shit, but it's like, oh, it's kind of bad, but it's the shit. And then Mega Man 2 comes out, and it's like, everybody shut up. Get on this.
Okay. Give me a number. This week.
This week?
Yeah. And I'm going to go get my my next drink.
17, 18 hours?
Wow, okay. Yeah, that's about right.
I've beaten it 4 times since Thursday night.
Each configuration?
No. So, and here's the fun part. Capcom was kind enough. Thank you, Capcom. Everybody at Capcom, you guys are great. Thanks, Yuri from Monster Hunter. Thanks, Kellen from Resident Evil. And thanks, 47 Productions or whatever, the PR company they use. You guys are very nice. Got back to me on time pretty much every time. Very kind. So they gave me a code so I could play it Thursday night, like 8 o'clock prior to release, which was great, right? However, Capcom, when they send you a preview code, they send you just a fucking retail beta testing code.
Okay.
Right? So if you already own the game on Steam, it won't go through.
Ah.
So you have your second account.
Yeah, okay.
And you play through it on that.
Okay.
So in order to play it early, I had to play it on my second account. And because Resident Evil has cloud saves, you can't transfer the saves from one account to the other. So I streamed myself doing Claire and then Leon. And then I was like, I'm very tired. I streamed like 17 hours. Oh, wait, no. 17 hours is just what I streamed. I then beat the game twice more to catch up my main account to the account I had streamed on. So it's probably closer to like 25 or 30.
So you had to replay on your main to have it on your main.
Claire and then Leon, which I got an S rank on one of them. No, I got an A rank on one of them, which made me very happy.
And then did you do like the Hunk and Tofu stuff?
So I have not streamed it since Friday night, so I'm gonna do Hunk on stream and Tofu on stream if I can beat Hunk, because you have to beat Hunk to get Tofu. And I'm also gonna do the other 2 variations as well over the coming week. There's a lot to talk about that game, so I'm going to try and keep it concise.
I like the part where the old line where it's like, oh, this must be her boyfriend. And then you look at the update and it's just a fucking dogger.
They changed it to a dog.
That's super
because
great.
They don't want Resident Evil characters to ever be romantically involved with anyone.
Anyone, including each other.
Resident Evil is one of the most bizarre sexless universes
There is
ever.
zero sex,
There is
right?
zero sex. There's zero romance. It is baffling.
Even though it is very clear that Ada Wong is extremely not a virgin.
Yeah, and into Leon, and he's into her, but the best you get is watching that awful piece of shit CG movie Damnation, in which she offhandedly references a night they spent in some country when they weren't trying to kill each other.
Oh, okay.
Right? as evil spy and government agent.
So there
That's
was
it.
a reference to
There was a reference to
sexing.
But like Claire, Chris, Jill, these people, they are married to taking down Umbrella and or bioweapons.
I'm ovulating right now.
No way, dude. Oh god, Leon, just like fucking slam me, Leon. No way. I only want to go after women that don't want me. All right, whatever, dude. It's your thing. So, Resident Evil 2, if anybody is aware of me at all in any context, I have a strong affinity to that game. It is one of them formative video games that I played in my youth. But also, that original game is fantastic, and it's fantastic now. And I've been excited for this remake for a long time, but also a little nervous because whenever you retouch something like this, you're kind of playing with fire, right? It could be the best thing ever, or it could be disastrous. Or they could make changes that you get, but you're like, I'm not happy with that, right?
It's been a long time.
Like, oh, what if
it
they
kind of has to be?
What if they make it too modern, or they change that part because that part's weird, but I like that, but you know, that kind of stuff. So the greatest praise that I can possibly offer this game, and it is high praise indeed, there's a clip of me out there saying it, is that when I was playing through it, it gave me the same feeling that the original gave me back when I played it in 98. The same type of tension, the same type of anxiety, the same type of fun, the same type of excitement. Like,
because it took away what you memorized.
No, not because of that. Like, that is a factor, of course, but that factor immediately passed as I've beaten the game now. The feeling remained even on the replay. And that is, how do I put this? You can remake something in which you are slavish in your devotion to its original design, or you can remake something in which you are slavish in devotion to its original intent, right? That second one ends up being the case here, and I think it was the right decision. They do things like, how do I put this? The very first liquor that you meet in the game, right?
You've talked about this a couple times.
Right.
And it's repositioning.
They've repositioned it later.
And how they make the moment work, despite
but then
the camera not doing the thing.
They reposition it back to where it used to be later in the game to fuck with you. Things like that. But, so for example, let's take Mr. X, because I'm sure everyone's Twitter has been blowing up with Mr. X memes.
Yes.
Because
I assume there's great moments with him now.
Scrub Quotes is now Mr. Scrub Quotes X, which is my favorite rebranding ever.
I mean, he's what he was before, right? He's the guy that comes and fucking chases you down and fucks you up, right?
He is the best example I could possibly give to what this remake is about and why it works. In the original, Mr. X, which is not actually his name, that is a fan name.
Really? That was never canon?
That showed up first on the toy. It was never in the games ever. It was only on the toy. Even the Resident Evil archive books don't mention Mr. X. It was then taken from the toy into the novelization by S.D. Perry. But then people started to call him that, just like how everybody... Okay, think about it this way. What's the Emperor's name in Star Wars?
Palpatine.
How do you know that?
Because Episode 1 and...
No, because it was on the toy back in the 70s. As Emperor Palpatine.
Okay.
It's not in Star Wars. The word Palpatine is not... But everybody knows that, and then they later canonized it, right?
Okay.
In this, he's just Tyrant. That's just his name is Tyrant. It was always Tyrant. But, fuck it. Everybody calls him Mr. X as Mr. X. So, Mr. X, in the original, he only showed up on the second playthrough. And he showed up 7 or 8 times, depending on the character that you play. He would just appear in a room. The room was always the same. But, because it was changed from the first playthrough, You could never be certain when he'd be around, and we'd scare the shit out of you, right? You'd walk out of the press room, and bam, he comes through the wall. Holy fucking shit.
What do the characters in the game refer to him as?
Ah!
Okay. Yeah, all right, yeah.
That fucking thing!
Yeah, okay.
Usually, they refer to him as not you again. In-game, in RE2, he has a model designation, which is the T103 or 00, depending. One's his type and one's his model. But, so in the original game, there were 7 or 8 rooms that he would appear in, and they were scripted, cool events. There's one in particular where you're like kind of a factory area, and you look on a video screen, and you see him walking up to a security camera, and then he punches it. But that is the security camera that is like 10 feet away from you.
Okay.
So you turn around, and bam, he's there, right?
Yeah.
Now, the problem with Mr. X in the original was that he showed up in 7 or 8 rooms as scripted events every single time. And he couldn't leave those rooms. So you very quickly realized, oh, just run by him, he'll give you a little tap. And then hit the door, and he has disappeared, right? But to the player playing in 1998 without use of a guide or the internet, it felt like he was following you around because he would appear randomly and he'd fuck you up and screw up your plans, right? So they take that feeling, not the design of just putting him in scripted locations, and then they transfer it over to this one where that he shows up in the exact same spot, the same hallway. You see him, you turn that hallway, and there he is. But now he is actually following you around.
Oh.
And he is coming through doors. And you can get really far away from him, but he's always in the RPD.
And you can run back.
And you can turn a corner, and oh shit, there he is.
Okay.
And
okay.
it is not it's about chasing the feeling, not about chasing any specific mechanic or layout.
Teleport to the other scripted locations?
There is 3 or 4 scripted locations, but those scripted locations are where he shows up. They're basically when Mr. X appears, he shows up and he is your problem until you advance far enough into the game in which he is no longer your problem until he shows up later, right? Mm-hmm. In the sequences, after he's shown up, he is a roaming entity until you figure out what the fuck you have to do.
And you get to another section.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Or you finally solve a puzzle, and that was the sequence that he was done in, right?
Okay.
He also, and I can't confirm this because I don't have but it appears that if you get so far away from him that it will take him minutes to find you, they will teleport him closer to you. Because, like, the police station's relatively large, so I would lose him in, like, the first floor on the east end of the police station, and then get all the way across to the second or third floor on the west end. And it's like, okay, it will take him minutes just to walk over here. Okay, he's right there. Shit. And it's fascinating because it takes a game in which, like, survival horror is all math. It's all like, I have this many resources and there are this many enemies, and I can avoid them or I can use those resources, whatever. And enemies can be dealt with eventually with total mastery. Walk by lickers. They won't attack you because they're blind. Zombies can be juked, right? Mm-hmm. Or even snuck past. But not when you hear stomp, 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 right? The best part about him is that he shoves enemies out of his way to get at you.
Oh, cool.
He'll walk by and like backhand a zombie just to move them out of his path.
Is there an actual, like, can you, I don't know, like, use a weapon to slow him down to...
The game does so in the original, you could down him. You could down him. And
he doesn't, like, grab a zombie and chuck it at you or anything.
No.
Okay.
But in the original, you could down him, and he would drop ammo. And the idea would be that he would give you back the ammo that you probably spent on him.
Yeah, okay.
In this, you can still technically down him for 30 seconds. And then you down him and he takes a knee. And he'll have a breather. And then he will get the fuck back up. And that's it. That's all you get. They they do a lot to show off how invincible he is in like with visual touches. If you hit him with a handgun bullet, it visibly ricochets off his coat.
Okay.
So it's like
That did beyond
okay.
nothing. Yeah.
It does technically damage him, very little, but it does. But it becomes very clear in any kind of like attempt to get him.
You are wasting ammo.
This is a complete waste of ammo.
Yeah.
Just run.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And just all these little, like, he only shows up, 3 or 4 sections, and the section depends on if you're where you want to do what you want to do. There may be 20 to 40 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they vary up those sequences, because in the original you went through the RPD, you killed everything. You went to the basement, you came back to the RPD, and now the RPD is now filled with lickers instead of zombies, mostly. But you didn't spend much time here. Here, it's a similar progression, but with Mr. X chasing you around, it complicates things. Okay, I have the route planned. I have this room, this room, this room, and they are clear. Everything is dead. This is my safe path to these 5 rooms. Except there are narrow hallways and Mr. X is right there. Shit.
Plan fucked.
Your plan is now fucked. So now you have to either think, do I want to try and get past him, or do I want to brave the more dangerous areas that I left to fate earlier?
Now, you said in previous games he would knock you down and then you could just run past him.
Yeah, he'd give you a little pop with his left, and you'd run past him. No problem.
This time around?
He gives you a significantly stronger hit than a little pop.
Okay.
He winds back and floors you, which the damage isn't the problem. The problem is that you go into a falling state, and it knocks you back like 4 or 5 feet as you fall to the ground and then get up. And then by the time you get up, he's walking back towards you again.
Yeah, okay.
So just running past him for the little tag is not worth it.
Okay.
The game feels unbelievable. It plays extraordinarily well. Aiming and shooting is genius. In particular, the having to hold your reticle for long periods to simulate stopping and shooting like the old games. Enemies take a shit ton of damage. Just tons and tons of damage, which makes you think about like leaving them alone in general. Visually, I'm sure you've seen this, Wolves. The game is like immaculate. It's so gorgeous.
For sure.
It looks so good. And a detail that I only figured out, well, I didn't figure it out, I just noticed it, is that Resident Evil games don't have HUDs. Like the good ones.
I mean,
anyway.
they have pause screens.
They have a menu screen and they have a pause screen.
That has all your HUD.
But when you're playing them,
Yeah.
they don't actually have HUDs.
Yeah, wasn't that part of the whole make it a movie feel?
I don't know.
I thought it was.
I really don't, but that was an element that I didn't fully appreciate back in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
And I sure as fuck appreciate it now, because you have this amazing super high def thing, and the only time a HUD shows up is when you point your gun at something or go into your menu. And when you take damage, if you didn't actually decrease your health, you'll just see damage on your character. If you did decrease your health, you'll see the little fine or caution or whatever show up at the bottom of the screen. And it'll show up for a second just to show, hey, man, you took some damage, you careful. And in addition, you will clearly be like limping afterwards. So, but yeah.
Yeah, well, when they redesigned the series with 4 and up, that's when like you got your...
That's where the HUD showed up, because it's more
big
actiony.
action game HUD.
You need more, yeah. The game's pacing is fantastic. Probably the weirdest thing that I didn't expect is they took the sewers, which were like 3 rooms in the original game. It's like a third of the game now. It's enormous. It's a whole section of the game. And the game is much better for it. And this is really weird. They took a boss out of the game to make it a regular enemy, and it's way, way better as a regular enemy than as a boss.
Is it Yawn?
No, Yawn's in the first one.
Is it the spider?
No, the spiders aren't in. Spiders got taken out. Spiders and the crows
Completely gone.
Got taken out, yeah.
Replaced?
Nope. They're gone.
Just less enemies.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Some people were, there was some wailing and gnashing of teeth over the removal of the spiders, over the removal of the crows, and over the wholesale complete rework of the plant enemies. The spiders are in 2 rooms in Resident Evil 2. And one of those rooms is exclusive to Leon. They have never successfully attacked anyone.
Okay.
And you never, ever, ever got poisoned by them. They were literally just there to be there because they were an RE1.
Kind of like DMC1 spiders, actually.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
The crows are in one room in Resident Evil 2. And they're not even there in that room on the B scenario. Losing those enemies means nothing. Like, it is a... Like, I was actually way more worried about the rework of the plant enemies, because the plant enemies, the big plant monster, Ivies that shoot poison, they've been completely changed into a new enemy that is way, way better, because they're regenerators now.
Okay.
Like, they are pinpoint accurate. You have to burn them. Like, they're fucking great.
Doggos?
They're absolutely there. And due to the new way the game works, they are way more dangerous than they used to be because hitting them is tough.
Yeah, so we talked last time about, like, the theory of what they might be like, considering how all the work that went into the regular zombie.
Yeah, they're not durable, but it is very difficult to hit them with, like, handgun bullets, and they're fast.
Wait for midair dive?
No, their diving is way too fast now. Just try and just shoot them.
Okay.
Just shoot all of them.
Okay.
Probably the only thing I dislike about the entire game is zapping system and the scenario system, right? So you had Leon A, Claire B, and vice versa. That is still miraculously in the game. It's
Shoutouts to incomplete reviews.
Yeah, it's oh my god, dude, that IGN that was where I'm fucking
like it's like you could have telegraphed it coming, because you're like, this is a game where, is this game gonna blow your ass out if you didn't do it properly? Then you're gonna have this problem.
So I want to point out, when you beat the game gives you a big splash screen that says, "Hey, try second run to see the ending."
Near everything.
Yeah.
So we like now we can firmly say now that this is still happening. That it's like, look, safe to say that until the game blows your ass out for not doing this properly, expect that every game is being played this way.
Yeah.
And everything's being reviewed this way, because
totally.
you never know in the meantime. You know, and then occasionally, once every 4, 3, 2, once a year,
Yeah.
a game will come out where, like, if you didn't actually do the thing, then you get your ass blown out and everyone makes fun of it.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh shit, and you got to revisit it. But assume that the next game being reviewed is going right back to the same old.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
So.
you know, the IGN reviewer that did this is the guy who reviewed that shooter last year, the shmup, and complained that there was no real final boss and no ending. And the developer was like, that only happens if you play it on the easiest difficulty.
Same person.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So yeah, just right back to it.
we're not. Yeah. Don't miss a beat. Yeah. There you go. Great.
So that thing is still here. There's still like a scenario where you start as one and play as the other, and the second one gets the true final boss kind of thing. It's weird, because events, so they talked about how they wanted to like simplify the scenarios so that you'd have a canon, like a clear view of what happened, right? Because in the original game, there's a storyline where Sherry doesn't get infected. There's a storyline where she does.
Arcade bullshit,
right?
Yeah.
And here you have the weird problem where it's like, Claire fought that boss and knocked it off the thing with the crane. Then Leon came by 10 minutes later, and the area was magically undestroyed.
Yes.
And fought the same boss and knocked it off with a crane.
What does this mean?
This character got horribly injured and then died, but then got back up to run over to help this character. Like, events are very logically inconsistent, and it's even weirder because in the second playthrough, the other character leaves you notes to say, hey, I went on ahead, come follow me. But how am I following you in the train that you took to get there that stayed here? What the fuck? Like, it's actually really confusing.
Canon M. Bison story mode. Getting his ass beat by every single Street Fighter.
Yeah, except
until Akuma just kills him.
There's one part that's really, really weird. And it is a character dies halfway through the game. And that character's never seen again for that character's playthrough, but they continue to show up in the other character's story.
Right, even though it's moving forward past that point.
And they die. They get fucking killed. And it's like, wait, what? Did they die here and then magically survive and then
Right.
run after Leon in the like what the actual
Time is convoluted.
So that's the weirdest part. For all the painstaking effort and recreation of all these great things, and they cherry picked all the like there's clearly the people on the team went, we like this event from this part and this event from, so it's this amalgamation of all the best like moments in RE2. And then they decided to do the second scenario, but it's like, I get it. Bosses are harder to design now, and they're more expensive to design now than before, so you don't want to just give each character half the boss fights. That would be lame. You want each character to fight all the bosses, right?
Yeah.
But, like, it's so fucking weird. It's so weird.
I mean, look, Nero spanks them and embarrasses them, and they run away. And then Dante comes back and cleans them up and kills them.
Yeah.
There is an understandable like version 1 and 2 of each fight. They did not. I thought you were gonna build up to this time around. They fixed it and made a canon series of events that you can follow.
No,
they just don't care.
So there are some events that are obviously that's the canon version. Like this character falls off a cliff instead of like getting punched to death, right? But on the other hand, it's like, wait, which character fought the boss? Like, which one of these characters is the person who killed the boss?
Right.
No, really. This is kind of important because what they actually went through is a thing later.
Okay.
Right? It's like Sherry gets infected by the G virus. That's confirmed. That always happened. And we knew that because in 6, she has all that weird healing shit as a result of it. Right? But, like, it's weird. Like, the way that those stories interact are genuinely bizarre. Does it hurt the game? No. It's something to bother people like me who care about Resident Evil.
Which that's your fault for doing. But when the sequels come around, do they act as if they all occurred and the characters have been through all of it? So
yes.
Otacon and Meryl are around, and I've got this bandana on.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Perfect.
Now that will actually be relatively easy because there's no big events that are actually in conflict. It's mainly around the bosses. It's mainly like, no, wait, which of you fought that thing with the crane? And the other weird thing is that Sherry and Ada both get trapped in the same room at the same time, but don't see each other.
Okay.
That one's really, really weird.
Okay.
They both get trapped in the exact same room for the exact same period of time and are both rescued at the same time. But, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
mean, again, in every game purposes, it's like, it's the easiest thing to do is, it's not a problem until you make a sequel.
Yeah.
And then in the sequel, just say, it all happened. And somehow, simultaneously, the characters have memories of all versions.
It's really baffling, though. The thing that's crazy is, like, it is now less clear than it used to be. And it used to be unclear. Right? Like... and they talked about how they wanted to clarify it. But, yeah, I cannot praise the game enough. It's exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be. And it was worth all the whining to get it. I would recommend it to everyone. In particular, I want to give a shout out to Max because that game has a hardcore difficulty mode. It is outrageously difficult. And he played through it first on those modes, much to his own like suffering. It is crazy how tough that hard mode is. Like, enemies take twice as much damage, and there's half as much ammo.
I heard that Mr. X fucking comes and visits you in the save rooms on hard.
He visits you in the save rooms.
He can say, hello, what's going on here in this thread? What you doing? You saving?
So, in
knock, knock.
No, he won't visit designated safe rooms. And he won't walk into any room that it would be impossible for you to run past him.
Okay.
Like, any room that has like a hallway that is actually too small for you to get past him, he won't walk into.
Okay.
But the main reason that is because at one point an area that used to be a safe room becomes unsafe. and zombies can come in, and so can X, and that's like that breaks the rules.
Then
You're not allowed to do that.
Then I heard lies.
Yeah.
All right.
Game's fucking great. Hunk is just as difficult as it used to be, but it's a lot fairer now that you have a... Because the Hunk scenario was like this big action set piece in the original, but like that game's controls could barely deal with its own regular game, let alone an action set piece. It's much, much fairer this time around. And one of the more interesting things is that the main game does not have auto-aim unless you play on easy. Fourth Survivor does have auto-aim, and you can't turn it off because you're playing as Hunk.
And Hunk has that.
Because Hunk is the shit.
Yeah, okay.
Because Hunk doesn't miss.
Yeah, okay.
And
he's got better
that's
guns.
Awesome.
Or he's got more ammo, and he's got...
Yeah. I think the main thing is because, like, you don't have time to aim the same way that you would in the base game. But it's still, like, a radical little thing of, like, no, Hunk comes with auto-aim.
Right.
And then Tofu, I haven't unlocked because I haven't beat Hunk, but Tofu is run Hunk scenario, but you're carrying 30 knives instead.
Yeah, I saw some art.
And it's like...
I saw some art with, like, the knives all, like on him. Equipped,
yeah.
Kind of like fucking...
and Tofu has a bunch of dialogue now.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the same dialogue that Hunk gets. Like, the Hunk's helicopter pilot is calling in, and Tofu is responding in a shrill, voice-modulated Japanese. Because it's
I heard a high-pitched little thing.
Because it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And it's a Tofu.
Okay.
And he animates, like, he has jiggle on him now.
That's Tofu texture.
And when he takes damage, he flakes apart because it's a Tofu.
It's Tofu.
I should mention to anybody who is... There's going to be a lot of people that play this that are like, why a fucking block? Like, what the actual fuck? Right? And it's because in the original, it was the hitbox model.
Yeah.
For the game that they tested. And then they were like, nah, fuck it.
No, I think when you're playing a remake of something, you just kind of see something you don't get and go, yeah, probably.
It must have been there originally
probably a
for
reference,
some reason.
Probably a reference.
So that's all fantastic. The last thing I want to talk about, I only touched a little bit, was the music. The music in the base game is fine. There's not a whole lot of music. It's very tense, very quiet. If you bought the deluxe edition or pre-ordered it or whatever the fuck it is, you can have a classic music option, which plays the old tracks as you navigate the game and changes all the sound effects. It's surprising how much it changes the tone of the game. It's genuinely well implemented and feels great.
Doesn't it feel? It doesn't feel goofy?
No, it feels totally at home. That soundtrack is amazing. The RE2 soundtrack is phenomenal.
Not dated?
No.
Okay.
At all. Like, at all. It's really shocking how good it sounds and how well it fits even the new visuals. To the point where I'm like, I'm torn over the audio decisions they made in this game. Most of the game is very quiet. Mr. X has a theme. And some areas will... Save rooms have a very muted theme, and some areas will have music when you first go into them. But most of the game is quiet, right? It's very realistic, very tense. The original game had a track playing in every single fucking room. And a lot of them were really unique and memorable. And it makes me think, like... I'm torn as to whether or not they should have just made really high-end remixed instrumentations for the new stuff.
I guess just when usually a game is that old, I would expect that playing a new version of the game with the old OST turns it into like more of a retro feel than it does like actually hold up.
Well, I mean, it obviously does do that because like, you know, all the nostalgia for like the main hall theme and stuff like that. But like, no, it sounds really good. It sounds great. And on top of that...
No clowns farting in this one, right?
No. So, oh man, somebody sent me a fucking link to this wild discovery about the clowns farting.
Clown farts.
So if anybody knows about clown farts, there's a track in the Resident Evil 1 director's cut that is like the worst track ever made by a human. It's called Mansion Basement. Go look it up. It's mythical in how awful it is. They suspect that it was recorded with the wrong instruments. And they made a version using all the same notes.
Well, it's MIDI, right?
No.
Isn't it just MIDI and then they put the wrong fucking note chart over it?
It's horns.
Okay. But I mean, like like when something's is programmed in like as in MIDI, you can change the instruments. The notes are just there.
Oh, okay.
And you can change like your sound bank. You can basically change it to horns or vocals or whatever you want it to be.
Well,
and if you put the wrong ones, then you get something that sounds terrible.
Like clown farts.
But you can change. It's like the fucking like Mario. Anyway, yes,
because somebody
you can dress it up to be whatever you want.
Sent me a YouTube video of them redoing the composition with different instruments, and it sounds fairly creepy and fine. And it's like, oh, of course the guy couldn't know that they had fucked it up. One, he was a hack and a thief, but he was deaf, so he must have just assumed that they did it right. Oops.
It's a kazoo.
Yeah. Oops. I'm very excited to keep playing that game and hopefully fucking continue to actually beat the difficulties. And they're coming out with a bunch of free DLC for it. On the 15th, we're gonna get fucking.
Yeah.
Do you see those costumes?
No, but yeah. Like I was looking at these, and I was like, yeah, these are anyway.
Yeah. They're putting out retro costumes that are the PlayStation 1 models of Leon and Claire to play in the game.
I love that shit. Like when MGS4 did it, and it was like super cool. I love that.
It looks so fucking out of place. It's
love
amazing.
Love it.
That's on the 15th, and also on the 15th of February is their Ghost Survivors mode, which is 3 little side stories that apparently have randomized like roguelike elements in it. Which, man, they said it was Volume 1, which feels crazy to me.
Well, I mean, safe to assume this is going to get a DLC tail kind of like 7 did.
Yeah, but 7 was all overpriced. This is all free.
Sure, but I just mean there's going to be things coming out for a minute,
well,
I assume.
Good.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, cool.
I hope they add a random itemization mode to the main game. That would be the biggest deal, man. That would be the best. Oh, man.
I'm wondering, like, anyway, we talked about it a bit last time too, but it's like, how much can you randomize without breaking it completely?
Well,
items is one thing.
You put rules in place.
Zombie placement is another.
Well, honestly, all you really need to do is randomize the items, because enemies that are non-threats become threats when you don't have the items to deal with them.
Right.
But there is a randomizer mod for Resident Evil Remake on the PC that, like, all you gotta do is put rules in place that say, don't make the game logically impossible to complete.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that the dev team did play that and think it was cool, so hopefully that's coming. I also played something else, and I'll talk about it a little more shortly, which is appropriate. I played Donut County.
Yeah.
You played Donut County?
Yeah, I sure have.
Did you beat it?
No, I didn't beat it, but I played
How?
I played a bunch of it, but I just didn't.
How far did you get?
I don't know. A number of levels in, I suppose.
Well, like 5-6 levels?
Yeah, maybe 5-6 levels.
Right, so you're about 70% through the game.
Oh, okay. It's that short, huh?
I beat it in 88 minutes.
Wow. Okay, I guess I stopped right before.
Like the fucking when you go to the Trash King's Raccoon Palace, that's like the last level.
Okay.
And like I was having fun with it.
Yeah.
I was like, this honestly feels like a inverse Katamari.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool and very charming.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to call it. I want to call it Furry Hipster as the new like Night in the Woods style.
The world was fun. The
text messages,
were wacky. Yeah,
you know, that kind of thing.
I have well, besides the length, I didn't know about that. I have one like issue so far. I was gonna bring it up once I went back to it and beat it, but you have, so I guess you can let me know. What I wanted was not these. I mean, levels in the way that we play through them is fine, I guess. But what I actually wanted, when you say like Katamari, is I wanted to like go through that map. I wanted a big map that I could donut things into.
Yeah.
And I thought that was going to continue and continue and continue, so that at the very least, after a couple of tutorial levels, you'd get the ability to like really go through town and like start fucking donuting shit.
So that's the most depressing thing about the game, is not that it's really short, but that I felt like when it ended, it had just gotten started.
Yeah.
If that distinction makes any difference.
Yeah.
So you do a couple missions and you're like, oh, you learn how to shoot things out of the hole, and you learn how to use fire
to create a water.
And
yes.
you learn a mechanic here, a mechanic there,
filling the hole and then using that.
They start to get more complex.
It's not just swallowing.
Not really complex, but slightly more. And then we're gonna do a boss fight, and they said and there's a couple levels before that. And you're starting to use mechanics in tandem, and I'm like, okay, yeah, the game's hitting its stride. And then it ended.
Yeah.
And it never expanded in any way or got anything more than... Like, it didn't take me more than 5 seconds to think of the solution to any particular thing. It was just this really pleasant, happy, like, oh, cool, I made the thing fall in the hole, yay, woo. And the weird animals are blaming this raccoon because he's a dickhead.
Yeah.
And then it was over. And I was like, oh, I thought that was the tutorial. I thought I had beaten the tutorial and was, like, getting ready to go out and choose my levels, or, like, the hole would get really big, or, what have you. And
so
it was just over.
So that's the thing, is Katamari has a great way of taking a simple mechanic and putting it into these different areas and then feeding that back to you, where you get a time limit, to, like, do your best, and you can never get it all, right? So you never end up feeling like, oh, I've just completely done it, like, to the maximum, and you kind of want to go back in and try, right? There's a feeling in those individual tutorial levels of, I want to go back and play those tutorials again, right? Even to do better. And then, but it still takes you through this mini world progression, mini map progression, and then it finally frees you at the last couple, where you get a nice 16-minute roll and then a full-on half-an-hour roll.
Yeah.
And that's like, all right, rolling in the world, and I was hoping to hear...
roll up the fucking planet here.
Yeah, and I was hoping to hear that Donut was going to build towards that. I mean, yes, it's been done in the Katamari way, but that's the funnest use of this mechanic, is seeing it in full glory on a large scale. And I guess what you're saying is it never gets there.
Yeah, like...
Damn.
I can think of very...
It's really fun, though. It's really enjoyable.
I can think of very few games that have given me this feeling, but, like... I think it's the first one to actually make me go, like, wait, what? Like, I thought the game was going to go 10 levels in a boss fight, 10 levels in a boss fight, 10 levels in a boss fight, and each one would ramp up in complexity. And I beat the boss, like, yeah, cool, I can't wait to play the next level, credits. Like, it left a sour feeling. It left such a bitter taste in my mouth that I went to the store page to find out how much I had paid for it.
Wow.
And it is $15, which for the feeling of I can't believe the game's already over feels like way too much.
Okay.
Like way too much. And we can argue about the length of a game versus its value and all that stuff. But the game left, even if the game was $2, I would have still felt that it had ended too soon.
Well, what I like games that have something where mechanically it seems really, really basic, because it's like, it's a time waster, right? Like, slide the hole around things, like, not that much of a challenge or whatever, but then you build off of that to create stuff. And if what you're saying is the case, then I guess it never...
You know what's funny?
What?
It's like you describe, like, oh, it looks simple, but then it becomes more complex. Like, I absolutely love that, and that's the reason why I hate Fez so much. Like, Fez is one of my most hated games in the past, like, decade.
Right.
And it's because the Fez idea of fucking around with 2D, 3D space is one of the most compelling ideas ever to me, because I love that weird geometry shit.
Yeah.
And that stops being that game within, like, an hour. And it becomes this fucking Rosetta Stone block-pushing shit. And I was so fucking bummed.
I remember the rant. I do.
Fucking pretentious bullshit.
Yet at the same time, fuck yeah, The Witness is rad. Everybody fucking...
Completely different developer.
Everybody get in. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
but I'm saying based on the concept of something simple becoming something hard.
Yeah, no, The Witness is how you do it.
Like...
Draw these lines. That's not so hard. Oh, fucking shit.
Just nervous fucking...
What does that triangle mean? What does that mean?
Sitting in the most peaceful, idyllic location ever, and you're having panic attacks. You're having panic attacks in paradise. Like, that's exactly what's
I
happening.
don't understand.
Okay.
But that was me.
All right. Fair enough.
Wolves, by the way, you know you've joked forever about, like, haha, I don't need to play the old game. I can just play the new one.
Yeah?
You're actually right on this one.
Oh, yeah, for the first time?
If you go and play Resident Evil 2
Yeah.
right now, you will get... Well, you can't travel back in time and make yourself 10 or 11 years old,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you can travel back in time and feel what it must have felt like to be an adult at that era when RE2 came out, because it nails it. It is absolutely the equivalent of itself back in the day.
No, folks have aggressively begun petitioning for me to take a crack at RE2.
You should really do something with that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something. I would be fucking fascinated to see that shit.
You want to see me futzing and butzing?
Yeah.
Futzing and butzing, try to aim at something and not knowing anything about how to save my ammo.
Yeah.
Or what to slice
Dude,
at.
the most entertaining thing in the world is watching somebody lose all their fucking gear and go, I don't know how to solve this problem, but I'm going to have to solve it.
I mean, I have some semblance.
That's survival horror.
I have some semblance based on 4 and 5, but those are different games, you know?
I will give you as you go into this ever for any survival horror, I will give you the one biggest tip.
Yeah.
Figure out what areas you'll need to come back to.
Yeah.
Do I need to come back here? Kill everything. Do I not need to come back here? Whatever.
No, I mean, to be honest, like, considering how much of our following, like, is super down and into survival horror, I wish I was in more. I wish I was in more than I am, but I do have the outsider's curiosity on it. That much is sure, you know.
This is probably the best place you could possibly start.
Yeah. But I also feel like, fuck, I haven't even touched 7 yet, and I hear how great that is, too, so, you know. So.
Resident Evil 7 is also a great place to start.
Yeah.
Those games are, ironically, now very similar.
Yeah.
And RE2 shows it's like, no. The third person is best for survival horror. First person is best for horror. Right? Third person is best for survival horror.
Would you say that 7 is a genre switch?
No, 7's a third. 7's first.
First person survival horror.
Yeah.
Not first person horror.
Yeah.
Okay.
The distinction that I make there, and I think I would make there's like
tied to a fucking chair not moving is horror.
There's a shit ton of fucking like designations, but I would take the genre designation of, can you defend yourself at all?
At all, yeah.
If the answer is yes, is that defense of yourself resource-based? If the answer is yes, then it's survival horror. Is the primary goal of the game to scare the shit out of you and you have no defense? That's just fucking horror.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it jump scare laden fucking run your ass off? I would call that panic horror.
Right.
So, like, PT is, like, horror
if
to the max.
If the only mechanic is run and get jump scared.
Yeah. That's just about causing terror.
Right.
You know?
Right. Fair enough.
Third person is best.
I generally agree overall.
Yeah.
In fact, I would make that a hard, fast rule at all times, with few exceptions.
You know what the goofiest thing is? In RE7, most of the enemies are those molded. They're not all that interesting to look at. In RE2, the zombies are insanely detailed, and being in first person, you would actually get a really good look at how detailed they are. Like, I don't know. I don't care for 7's perspective. Like, I love that game, and I think it's great. But the perspective, man. I would very much like to see an RE8 continue in the mold of the RE2 they just made. I think this is the best version of the formula Capcom has ever created. And that they could fucking just make more of those.
Is it so like you do then want to see this go backwards and forwards and basically do the remake and do the
I'd be good with RE8.
and then you said
in
Code
this style.
Veronica, right? Is the one that needs
Yeah,
it the,
so
that
I'm
needs it
in
the
this
most?
place of like I think RE3 is fine and holds up better than RE2 because the control stuff and the backgrounds are higher quality. But like I feel like if you're gonna remake anything, remake Code Veronica because Code Veronica is bad. So that one needs it more. But I would honestly just prefer to see them go ahead with 8 with the third person and like this style.
Okay.
Just not on another boat. I don't know if you know this, but like there's so many fucking Resident Evil games on cruise liners and boats and shits.
I feel like this sensible thing to do would be to branch the first-person VR experience into a different series, right?
I think that VR experience was like a PlayStation thing, like deal, because that VR never came to anything else, just the PlayStation version.
But I guess if the first person experience that they created was successful, and it's like, oh shit, we can do more of this,
Yeah.
then it would be interesting to see the franchise, because you know how they were Mercenaries and not Mercenaries. What was the fucking second series called again for a while? The second mainline series. Revelations,
Yeah.
right? So you had this parallel multi-game RE series going on. So it's like, yeah, you can now just go mainline numbers and then first-person games.
Well,
and that would be a very clear distinction.
To my knowledge, the reason why that happened is because Resident Evil has been worked on by so many people in Capcom. There are like 5 different teams that all purport to know what the real heart of Resident Evil is. And they're all wildly different, which is how you got shit that changed as far as Resident Evil is about co-op with Revelations to Resident Evil is about hardcore action shooting, which is about Operation Raccoon City. Or like,
Yeah.
it's goofy. But this is the way. Do them like this. This is a good way.
Okay.